storm.
What do you want to know about that?
Everything. I want to know everything.
Holy Christ. Everything she wants to know. Well, this, no, I don't want no more water. Don't want no more water. I'll be floating. This person that I was working for, Joe Pedalak, he always liked to try something different. I got to give him credit for that. And he got involved with a group of people from New York to make snow melters. Because of all these storms, there was trucks carting the stuff away, and they thought they could make it faster and cheaper to make a snow melter and melt the snow. Well, we had a lot of trial and tribulations making this machine. Finally, they decided they got a jet airplane motor and used that for the heating unit. Well, we had this airplane motor and we hooked it up and ran it as an airplane motor. And we made all kinds of designs on, they came up with a whole bunch of designs on containers to melt the snow in. Well, the jet engines got a lot of power. One time we went to Meriden with one of our units, and they threw in a bunch of hard snow, like ice crystals in there. Mm-hmm. Well, them things went up in the air like a popcorn machine. They must have went up about 50 feet in the air. Everybody had to run.
So this was oil. This is oil power. Oil.
Gasoline power.
Jeez.
So they decided that that was no good.
These projectiles.
So then I kept looking at these things and and I said, you know, I think I got an idea of making this tank so that it'll melt snow without, you know, because they were trying to melt it with air, hot air. So I came up with this idea of making this tank with tubes inserted down, like in there, insert tubes down about 3-4 inches into the water, and then when the air goes down, it comes up like a hurricane. So it did work.
This was all the steel, steel line.
Yeah.
I think I saw the pictures of the steel line tank.
10-inch pipe.
But so they'd have to load the snow into the tank?
They'd have to load it into the tank.
What year was this around?
Oh, I don't remember years. It has to be in the 50s.
Your drawings were like
60s.
55, 57.
Yeah.
Because he has drawings of it.
Then that thing worked out pretty good, but then we were having trouble with the jet engine. The jet engine would break down, and it was pretty hard to get parts for a jet engine. You don't go to the store and say, because these were all surplus engines from the government. He was buying them like $500 for a brand new engine. These were, you're talking $1 million. Mm-hmm. Cost the taxpayers anyway. So
you traveled all over. You went to Buffalo, you went to D.C. to market this thing.
So I got another idea coming home on the airplane. I said, you know, I think I can make an oil burner that'll do the same thing as a jet engine. And he thought about it and he didn't say nothing. About a week later he said, what was you talking? So I says, I think I can make it. See, the whole thing of snow melting is, when you get a conventional oil burner, which they make them dime a dozen, it has to have a long space for the flame, like at least 20 feet. You know, the flame comes out for the combustion. But a jet engine, they have small burners, like 8 of them, and they only throw out a flame about 1 foot, 2 foot long. Oh. That turns the turbine. So I got on that principle, I designed an oil burner that works like a burner on a jet engine. to do the same thing with a short amount of space.
Short amount of space, because you gotta.
Because when you mount this thing on a trailer, you only got X amount of feet for combustion. So I had like maybe 10 feet. On a conventional burner, you maybe needed 25, 30 feet.
Right. And this, you could have more than one burner.
I made 4 burners.
4 burners.
And I made a plenum chamber, what we call a plenum chamber, and I attached the burners to the plenum chamber. And off the plenum chamber, I ran 4 10-inch pipes with these downspouts in them.
What's a plenum chamber? Just a space?
A big space like this, a connection.
Okay.
Where one goes in the distributing box, you could call it. And I made that up and filled the tank up about 2 foot of water just below the nozzles. So the nozzles would be sticking in the water about 3 inches. And there was always water in the tank. Where the other system, the dry system, they had to melt the snow and everything would bend because it gets so hot.
So you melt it into steam.
Well, you never gets that hot. Oh. Never gets that hot because they keep throwing in ice. It just gets a little bit warm. It really doesn't get boiling or nothing like that unless you stop throwing the stuff in there. Because as you can continue throwing snow in there, that's a lot of snow.
Right.
But as long as it's liquid and moving, because you can melt snow with just plain cold water as long as it's moving. But if you just get a glass of water and you just pour it in the snow, it just makes a hole. But I had this thing inside that looked like a hurricane going on in there because I had a big compressor fan supplying the combustion. I divided it to the combustion and the agitation. So that's what made it work. And they did work. And there's a guy down in New York still making them, still using them.
Wow.
He's using them now.
Even with the cost of fuel, people still...
The fuel didn't matter. The fuel would be like 100. You'd have to burn so much fuel to melt so much snow. In other words, we decided at 100 ton an hour, you'd have to burn like about 100 gallons. So it was like, but municipalities don't have to pay taxes.
Right.
So they would get the fuel at that time maybe like 50 cents a gallon. Compared to a truck that would make 2 trips a day with a man, it was peanuts. When we were down New Haven melting, we melted Chapel Street one night. They scraped the whole street up, made a big pile of snow, had 2 payloaders loading this thing up. We got through, the streets were wet because the water would run down the drain, and the snow was all gone. And there wasn't a truck there. But the problem with that now is that another problem arises. You can't sell these things to municipals there, whatever they call them, because you have the contractors to rent their trucks out to the city. And they don't want no part of this. So they're the ones that give the money to the politicians for their elections.
So this is before before municipalities had their own fleet of snow trucks.
No, while they had their trucks.
Yeah.
So
haulers, snow haulers didn't like the snow melter.
That's right, because
there's big money in hauling snow.
That's not only does the city trucks haul it, they hire every guy that's a contractor.
Right.
In the wintertime, they're not doing nothing. So they put their trucks on the snow. So now, you are not going to sell them to the cities. I don't think we sold one snow melter to a city. And all the snow melters I made, they sold to factories like International Harvester. Well, I think the other
you said you sold
John Deere and airports. And the airports, they're run by private contractors who make a contract with the airlines to keep their terminals clear. So that's the only reason you sell it to them. Because otherwise they'd have to take that snow and haul it out of there.
So did Pedelec patent this, or you didn't patent it?
Pedelec hired a patent lawyer And he put his name and my name on it, because I invented the burner.
Good.
Yeah, so. But when you deal with a guy like Pellock, it doesn't matter anyway, because he's not going to do nothing with it. The only way when I used to work on it was in the winter time, where I should have been working on them things all year round.
Right.
And winter time comes, he's going to make a snow melter, and he sold every damn one we ever made. All the junk ones and everything, he sold them. He ended up with nothing. He was just one of those lucky guys. They sold one 50 tonner, which was a smaller one. They sold it to an oil drilling rig in Alaska. Would you believe this?
Yeah, and you shipped that thing.
And this guy called me up from Alaska to find out how to start it and run it. And I said, where the hell are you? He says, we're on an oil drilling rig in the seas out there. And they were using it to melt the snow to make fresh water to run their equipment. They would get the snow and melt it and use the water that came out of it for instead of the salt water.
Oh, gee. So you didn't fly to Alaska?
No, I didn't fly to Alaska. I went down as far as the Dulles Airport. I went to Moline, a couple of airports out there, and Chicago O'Hare. And I went to Buffalo, New York.
The first time on a plane?
Yeah, on a plane. I never was on a plane before.
So Pellock didn't make millions because he didn't market it right, or he didn't patent it?
He didn't make millions because he was using it as a hobby. All he wanted was a name. He liked the name. He did this, he did that. But he didn't want to sink the money into it because actually he didn't have the money to promote it. And what he would do was when he would sell one, he had it fixed up. See, he had Bristol sheet metal, and then he made this new name, Aerotronics. Aerotronics was the snow melting business.
Oh, okay.
Bristol sheet metal did all the work. Bristol sheet metal paid me and everybody that worked on it. He never paid Aerotronics. I mean, Aerotronics, the check would come to Aerotronics. Yeah. But he would never pay Bristol sheet metal.
So he never sunk money in the
He took the money.
Okay. He never put it back into Aerotronics to market it and sell it and develop it as a line, as an idea. But see, he made out good. But, but I knew he never was going to go nowhere with it because he didn't have the wasn't as big as it could have.
No, he was not that. All he wanted to know was he was the big inventor, which he didn't know one end of it from another. I was the inventor. But I had a job, that's all that mattered to me, because I know.